We've had a few days, obviously, to digest the verdict against President Trump. What is your reaction, and how do you see this all playing out?
I think the Democrats may rue the day when they push this. They got what they wanted. I'm not sure they're going to want what they got. And here's why I say that, Michelle. They have pushed so hard to get a conviction on Donald Trump. They put it in a courtroom that was rigged from the beginning with a judge that's a Biden donor. The judge's daughter made millions off of selling Democrat propaganda and helping anti-Trump candidates. You had a judge that so manipulated the process, wouldn't allow defense witnesses to testify who would have been helpful, and then tilted the scales horribly for the prosecution. You had a New York jury who didn't get to hear really all the information. They were kept from a whole lot of things that might have influenced them, although I'm not sure anything would have in that city. So they got what they wanted. They wanted a conviction. They have it. I think everybody who looks at this case says it will absolutely be overturned on appeal, even though that may happen after the election. But here's what it did. It fired up the base of America, and it brought a lot of people toward Trump that weren't with him before. I had Democrat friends. I had what I call never Trump or Republican friends who let me know they just sent a contribution to Donald Trump. They were so sick of this. Here's why I think it had that reaction. People understand this was not just a trial against Donald Trump. They realize this is a trial to shut down the voices of people who believe in an America First agenda, who believe we ought to have closed and strong and enforced borders, who believe we ought to have an economy that champions small business and free enterprise and free speech. And instead, we have this fascist regime of Joe Biden that believes that you ought to conspire with social media companies to squelch anything that does not go along with your leftist agenda, that you ought to kowtow to the anti-Semitic forces and voices of the squad and the crazies on the far left who think that Israel ought to surrender to Hamas rather than Hamas surrender to Israel. You look at the gamut of the issues, and here's what I think people saw. The net result, they realized this was not just an attack on Trump. This is an attack on them. And if it happens to Donald Trump, then the knock on the door in their neighborhood will come one day for them. Just yesterday, we saw the 75-year-old woman sent to prison for 2+ years because she protested at an abortion clinic. It was not just about sending this very infirm 75-year-old woman to prison. It was to send a message to all pro-lifers out there. You protest, this is what happens to you. Now I'm in New York right now. I'm here for some meetings and you know, I don't want to get out on the streets because here's a city in which you can beat up a cop in broad daylight with video cameras rolling and you'll be out in less than an hour. You protest in an abortion clinic in the heartland of America, you're going to prison for 2 years. What does that say to the people in this country? And that's why I think that the reaction, the extraordinary amount of money has happened. People are looking at this and realizing this is no longer about Donald Trump. This is about the rest of us.
Yeah, it's clear intimidation for sure.